All right, for this little project, you need a medium weight yarn. I'm going to be using a silver because I think it might be easier for you to see against a white background. And then you will need a yarn needle, a size G crochet hook, and a little pair of scissors. And that is all. So to get started, you want to find the end of your yarn. Here we go. And I'm going to make a little slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 5. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the first chain and to make a little loop. And now we're going to be working inside this little loop right here. And while I'm crocheting this first little row around, I'm going to be crocheting over my little tail end to cover it up. So first I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And then in this big loop we just made, I'm going to double crochet and chain 1. Now in this loop I'm going to do 2 double crochets and then a chain 1, and I'm going to repeat that to the double crochet, chain 1. I'm going to repeat that 4 more times for a total of 5, so that I will have, at the end, I will have 6 little groupings of 2 double crochets and a chain 1, because the first one, this little chain 3 double crochet, that's going to count as my first one. So there's 3 little groupings. Now I do double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. And let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groupings. So I've got 1 more. So double crochet, chain 1, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the top of this little chain 3, and then I'm going to slip stitch over to my first chain 1 space over here. So I'm just going to slip into this little double crochet right here and then slip into the chain 1. All right, and now I'm going to go ahead and cut to this end off here because I think we have stitched over it plenty of times. There we go. And now in this first little chain space that we are in now, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to make 2 single crochets. Here's a 1 and a 2. Now I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain from my hook. So right here, little slip stitch, and then I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet 2 more times into that same space. 1 and 2. So now that very first chain 1 space has 2 single crochets, a little picot that we made with a chain 4 slip stitch chain 1, and then 2 more single crochets. And now right here we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook again, and that's all. We've made another cute little picot. Now in this next chain 1 space we're just going to repeat what we just did. So single crochet, single crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook, chain 1, and then 2 more single crochets in that same space. And now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. So we're making another little picot, and that's it. We've just repeated what we just did. And now we're just going to repeat that for every chain 1 space. And so your 2 single crochets, 1, 2, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, 2 single crochets in that exact same spot. And then we make our little picot out here. 1, 2, 3, and a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from the hook. And now 2 single crochets into that next space. And chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the 1, 2, 3rd chain from the hook. 2 single crochets in that same chain 1 space that we're working in. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook, and then repeat. In this chain 1 space, do 2 single crochets, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook. Oops. Oh dear, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, chain 1 and 2 more single crochets in that same space. 1, 2, and then our little picot right here. 1, 2, 3, slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the hook. And then we have one more 1 chain space left. So in that 1 chain space, let's do our single crochet, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, slip stitch in the 1, 2, 3rd chain, chain 1, 2 more single crochets in that same spot. 1, 2, and then our last little picot. 1, 2, 3 chains, and then a slip stitch into the 3rd chain from your hook, and then we just slip stitch into the very first single crochet that started it all. There we go. Now, depending on what you're doing with your cute little snowflake, you want to snip your yarn, snip it long, just in case you're using it as a present topper. That would be really cute. And if you're using it as, well, if you're just using it as a motif where you're going to stitch it onto like a little gift card holder maybe, or one of our little sweaters, then actually you might want to keep this long so you can use it to sew your little applique onto your cute little item. Or if you are using it as a present topper, oh, I've already got one on there. But if you're using it as a present topper, you also might want to keep it long, but I like to take this little piece of yarn and weave it through up to the topmost point. Let me show you what I mean. So the longer picot, I like to weave my yarn up to there so that my tie like comes from that point. Does that make sense? So I like to just weave my little end in up to the topmost point of my snowflake, and then I make a little loop with it, just however you like, but I kind of just weave it back in and then tie this little loop into a knot. However you want. But I just like to tie a little knot and then weave that little end in, and then you have a cute little topper that you can weave into the top of your bow or just loop onto your present wrapping or whatever. So there's our cute little chunky snowflake. I hope that you enjoyed this little pattern. Thanks for joining me.